Hi, I'm Chef Gary from PRZman.com and I'm here today to teach you how to make the perfect omelette. So, omelettes. We're going to start with omelettes, we're going to start with eggs, and it's the first in our series of egg dishes, and I certainly think that eggs are the fundamental start to the day, and it's such a difficult thing to get right, such an easy thing to get wrong. So we're going to start with the basic principles of what I think is the best egg dish. And all I'm going to do is I'm not going to preach to you, I'm not going to tell you all about how to buy your eggs and how to store your eggs, but basically we're just going to take a couple of nice, fresh, these are just bought from the store today, farm eggs. Basically when I buy my eggs, I basically buy the most expensive eggs I can afford. And it's a simple rule of thumb. You can afford good organic eggs that have come from a good sustainable source, then why not? If not, then an egg is an egg, it's not a problem. So a couple of eggs in the pan there. I've already got my pan on so that it's nice and hot. It's slightly smoking, but it's not burning hot. It's not smoking, it's not filling the room, but it's hot enough so that when the eggs go in, they're really going to sizzle. A couple of eggs into my bowl. I'm going to give them a light whip up there. But I'm going to do no more than a few turns with a fork. I'm going to leave them to one side for the moment, because as soon as I start to put the seasoning in and the salt and pepper in and get ready to cook, then the structure of the egg is going to break down, and I don't want to do that just yet. There's a couple of things I want to do with the egg today. I've got a fantastic piece of pecorino cheese, one of my favorite cheeses. It's a cheese that's hard like Parmesan, but it's not quite so harsh, it's not quite so salty, and it'll be delicious just to round off this particular dish. I've also got a couple of greens, just very simply a few green onions or scallions or spring onions that I want to throw in there just for a nice sharp edge, and I only want the white part. I'm just going to take a very sharp knife so that I've got nice little concentric circles there, which are quite neat and tidy. So a few of those spring onions, just leave them on my board, put them to one side, and a few chives here as well. Again, for that oniony feel, that oniony flavour, but not as harsh as an onion at all, and it gives a nice fresh edge, a nice fresh look to the omelette itself. And that, for the one omelette that I'm going to make today, that's as much as you need to make. That's as much garnish as you need to prepare. It's very, very simple. So we've got those two elements ready. I've got my cheese, I've got a grater as well, but we're going to grate the cheese as we need it. And my pan is of the perfect temperature. So, little splash of olive oil in the pan. Just make sure that the pan's nice and coated. Now this is a little non-stick pan which I've used, and you can see it's well worn and it's well used. And I only use it ever for omelettes. I don't use it for any other job. I don't fry bacon in it, I don't do my onions in it. I leave this for my eggs only so that I look after it, and it's really just, it's in tune with my egg dishes. Use it for nothing else. Into the oil, which is now, it's got a little bit of a hazy smoke coming up there. A knob of butter. You can hear it sizzling already. Temperature's good. Now just swirling that butter around a little bit so that it starts to melt, it starts to fuse in with the oil. Now the oil's in there to make sure that we get the pan nice and hot, but the butter's in there to slow down the heat process so that obviously the eggs don't burn, but also to give richness to the egg dish. We don't want it to taste of oil, we want it to taste of butter. So my eggs, I'm going to put in a little bit of salt, a little bit of freshly ground pepper. And then my butter is fully melted, starting to foam. The eggs go straight into the pan. And all I'm doing here is I'm just agitating the eggs ever so slightly. I'm not being aggressive with them. I don't want to scramble them. But I do want to fold the cooked egg into the raw egg and cook it in that fashion, in that process. I'm not really scraping the bottom of the pan because this is a nice pan. I'm quite precious about it. I don't want to ruin it. But what I do want to do is I want to keep it moving so that the bottom of the omelette itself doesn't go golden brown. I want to keep it a nice pale yellow color. And I don't also want to overcook it. I want to leave it so it's slightly soft and slightly runny in the middle. So that for me is just about right, just about perfect. I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to add into that almost all of my garnish, almost all of my chives and my spring onions. And I'm going to put into that some of the cheese that we just mentioned, the pecorino. Just going to grate a little bit of that on top. And it's a nice hard cheese. It's not going to melt very quickly. It's just going to sit in there and it's going to give beautiful flavour to the omelette. Now, as you can see, as I start to flip the omelette over, it's not golden brown, it's not stuck to the pan, it's not hard, and it's definitely not set. And I just carefully fold that out onto the plate. I'm going to tuck up the edges a little bit. And again, the remainder of my herbs, just a little sprinkle on top, and why not a little bit more of that delicious cheese over the top. So start to finish, with all the ingredients in place and your eggs in place and your pan nice and hot, that was a 1-minute omelette.